Hey guys, Teresa here again. Welcome back to my channel, Lost My Thread. Today I'm going to be sharing with you everything I made in the month of February. February felt like a pretty good productive month for me. I feel like I worked through my plans quite a lot and also put in a few little extra things I wasn't necessarily expecting to make. The first thing that I'll tell you about is the dress that I'm wearing now because I love it and I'm excited. I want to tell the world about it. This is my Kielo Wrap Dress by Named Clothing. This is one of these patterns that I'd seen around and I thought, I don't know if it's going to be really for me and for my shape. I feel like this whole tie thing could end up looking really bulky and awkward. This wrap thing is incredible, honestly. The way that this wrap works is you have these big triangle panels that come out at the side, which then wrap around. I will say for me, when I'm wrapping it, I find it useful to actually bunch it up a little bit before wrapping it around so that it sits a little bit higher, just because otherwise I feel like it pulls and you don't really get this nice pooling and gathering of fabric under the bust area, which is where you get a lot of that shape going in. But I feel like the way it wraps around, it covers your tummy very nicely, gives you a really nice silhouette with a bit of a tie-in at the waist there, really nice shape at the back as well. But I made this pattern, I finished sewing this up when I was on my period, feeling really bloated, feeling really blah. I put it on just to check the length of the sleeves and the length of the dress, and I felt amazing. And I thought, if I can feel amazing on that day, this is a pretty good dress. So for me, it feels like a huge success of a dress. I love the color of this. This is bamboo color, bamboo, petrol blue. It's in a bamboo jersey that I got from Sew Me Sunshine. Really, really love it. Bamboo jersey, I feel like, is a new find for me. I think I worked with it first last year at the beginning of the year, and I feel like sewing with it, it's just so nice to work with. It's super soft and really comfortable to wear. Really breathable as well, so you don't get too hot and overheated. It's got a really beautiful drape to it, but it's got a bit of a weight behind it as well. And I feel like because of that, when you're trying to put it through the sewing machine, it just behaves itself quite well. I feel like the weight just kind of presses the two layers of fabric together and they don't seem to shift and move around like a lot of drapier fabrics do. I just feel like it's my fabric. I'm so into bamboo jersey and I'm going to be definitely making lots more things in this kind of fabric, but I feel like it was a perfect choice for this dress because you do have that great drape of it. There is also a really nice slit in the back. I wasn't quite sure how I would feel about that slit, but actually, you know, it is necessary for movement because this does taper in as it goes down to the bottom, and I feel like it's a really nice, elegant detail that actually sewed up really neatly. I want to say I'm very much saying it's all about this fabric just working with me. I feel like even neckbands in bamboo jersey, I feel like when you're pulling to stretch them to fit inside, I just feel like they want to sit where you want them to go. Maybe this is just some luck that I'm having right now, but honestly, I've had this experience before with bamboo jerseys. I just feel like it behaves itself well for me. The one thing that was really weird about sewing this up is the way that the sleeves are installed. So there is basically like one continuous seam that you're stitching it along to afterwards. So you stitch the sleeve in place and then you sew the side seam and the sleeve all in one go, which is not that unusual. But going along here, there wasn't anything tapering out where the sleeve is going to go in. It was just like one straight line. So it was a little bit difficult to know where the edge of the sleeve needed to go. And when you were sort of edge stitching around here, or I was using the serger to stitch this in place, it was a little bit tricky to then just stop at one point before you were sewing this bit in. I hope that makes sense, but I'm telling you guys that was a little bit peculiar. Follow the instructions. This dress came together really fast. I was very surprised with how quickly and easily it came together. They do give you option to add knit interfacing onto this band, and I'm glad that I did because it sits nice and flat, whereas if it didn't, I think it would probably be curling up and bunching up. Knit interfacing is so bizarre. It feels very synthetic, very spongy. It didn't feel very nice when I put it on this, but once it's all enclosed on the inside, you wouldn't really know because it still manages to have that reasonable drape to it, but it's not as floppy as it would be if I hadn't put it in there. I will put my measurements down in the description box, but I made a straight size 14, which worked really well for this for me. And I'm 5'6", and I didn't have to change the length of the sleeves or the length of the dress at all. It was absolutely perfect out of the packet. I am going to be making more of these dresses for sure. Planning to make a sleeveless version, and there is also a jumpsuit, which I'm a bit unsure about because of the closure at the back, but this is definitely a winner of a dress for me. The next one I'll tell you about is my Pippi Pinafore. So this is a Jennifer Lauren Handmade pattern in this really beautiful, I would say almost like a caramelly color stretch needle cord that I got from Sew Me Sunshine. I went for a really fun contrast lining on the inside. Really vibrant, really bright. I just felt like that was just gonna be a little bit something extra to have there for myself. So it's inside the bib and it's on the inside of the pocket as well, though I know no one's seeing those details apart from me. But I thought that was a really fun detail to add on there. There are some snaps. You can use buttons. I chose to use some snaps here and on one of the side seams. Going down the side as well, I've got the same snaps going on. You have this really beautiful pocket detail. I love the shape of this pocket on this pinafore. I did actually lengthen this pocket, and I added a facing on the inside of the pocket before I get to my lining fabric. And this was all based on the advice of Moni, who is Momade VA. I think it's for Vienna. Anyway, I don't know how to say your handle, Moni, but you absolutely saved me. She commented on the video when I said that I was planning to make this, telling me that she'd made it a couple of times, and if I wanted any tips or suggestions that she would give them to me, and she gave me a few suggestions on Instagram on some DMs, and honestly it made such a huge difference. So she mentioned that those pockets are actually relatively small, and she was going to make one for her daughter, but it wasn't going to be deep enough for her to put her phone in there for it to be covered. So I thought, that's not a deep enough pocket for me. I definitely want to deepen that pocket. So I made that 2 inches deeper, which I think worked out really, really well. The other thing she mentioned to me was that the pocket lining she felt peeked out quite a lot. So I added that section there to make a little bit of a facing inside. But I also decided to make the pocket lining and the bib lining a 1/4 inch smaller than the main body. And that's something I've seen on patterns before, but wasn't in this pattern. And I feel like that just ensures that the main fabric is going to pull back a little bit to allow the lining to not peek over the edge. And I feel like both on the facing and on the pocket, it worked very well. So you can't see any of the lining on the outside there. And then when you turn it around, you can see there is just a tiny bit of that main fabric that comes over, which I think to me is a much nicer way for that to be. You don't want to have that bright, vibrant lining stuff peeking out on the outside. Oh, and I also use that same lining fabric on the inside of the waistband. I've got everything all on hangers, so I'm just trying to pull it all off. But yeah, so that's on the inside of the waistband as well. So I felt like that came together well. There's a lot to love about this pattern, I will say. I really love the instructions, the way it comes together. It's a really nice and neat construction. I love that you've got this extra shaping of darts at the front of the bodice and at the front of the skirt and also at the back of the skirt. I feel like that works really well for my shape, and it really defines my waist in a really nice way. The one thing that I really don't like about this pattern is that bib piece I feel like is too wide. Definitely too wide. Now, when I look at the size chart for Jennifer Lauren Handmade, I know that I'm not making the ideal size for me, because she says if you've got a high bust of 33 inches like I do, her recommendation is that you make a size 8? No, a size 10, but then that would put me in an F cup, which doesn't exist on that size chart. So I had to go for a size 12 with a D cup, which is the highest cup size I could use for the measurement that was closest to my body. I feel like I wish that I had tried this on and looked to see where I was going to secure those tabs in. So you can just use like the normal overalls kind of metal hooks and closures, but I felt like I preferred to do the little loop through. So she gives you options of how to do either, where you make a buttonhole, you feed your strap through and then pull it back up and then snap it in place, in my case, or button it in place. And where I put that buttonhole, I feel like it would have been better if I put the buttonhole a little bit more to the center. I did still move it a little bit further to the center than the original markings were on the pattern piece, but I feel like I would have been happier if it was over even still, but that it would be kind of hanging off a little bit off center from where those straps are going. So I don't quite know what I would need to do. I think I would just narrow the whole thing in the future, more just at the top really, and then I probably would be happier with the shape. I mean, it's not going to put me off wearing it. I still am really going to enjoy wearing it. Because this is stretch corduroy as well, it's got a lot of extra give and movement, and so I feel like it's going to be really, really comfortable to wear. The color is one that I have not worn a lot. I've shied away from yellow, mustardy kind of tones because I haven't really felt like they work for me. And I was surprised with how well this seems to work. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to venture more into these mustardy yellows because I really do like this on me. And I feel like I'm gonna maybe just try a little bit more of those kinds of shades in the future. One bit of the instructions that I really loved is when you were making the straps and turning them around, so you stitch them together, right sides together, turn them out, she recommends that you save that step for evening couch time, which I thought was really great. It was a really great tip. I mean, I will say that it's one of those things that it takes a while, and if you know it's going to take a while, you just get on with it. It's not a problem. But I love that she's just encouraging you to just embrace the slowness and do it at a time where you don't really mind. I thought that was a cute detail. The next one to tell you about is a top that I made to go with it. So this is my Concord top. So it's the Concord Tee by Cashmerette, but I've hacked the Freya top mock turtleneck neckline onto it to make basically my ideal turtleneck pattern. I really do love the way that this fits. I love the fit of the Concord. We knew that already, guys. I did extend this shoulder seam by 1 inch because previously it was a little bit narrow on me, and I feel like probably a 1/2 inch would have been better. It's quite a heavy fabric and I feel like it's pulling a bit off the edge. Not in a way that it's a problem, but if I'm being perfectionist about it, I'll probably make that more just a 1/2 inch extension rather than the full inch that I've done. This is a meetMilk tencel rib knit fabric. That was a mouthful. I got this one from Sew Me Sunshine as well. So far, all Sew Me Sunshine. I obviously did a big bulk order if you didn't work that out already. But this fabric has really beautiful drape. It's really lovely and soft to feel. It's actually quite cooling to touch. I will say that this fabric was not as friendly as the bamboo jersey, and it was shifting around a whole lot when I was stitching it, particularly when I was stitching the twin needle on the hem and on the sleeve cuffs, and it has gotten a little bit bunchy and puckered at points. I'm not sure if I want to go back and try and fix that or not, because largely I'm planning to wear this tucked into my pinafore, but even not, I don't really think it's going to bother me, but it's one of those things that this fabric was probably not my friend quite as much. But I do like the rib knit. I don't have a whole lot of rib knit things in my wardrobe, and I feel like this color is a really nice addition as well. I love green. I don't wear enough green, and so this is just another way to incorporate it into my wardrobe. And basically anytime I can take the Concord Tee and improve on it or tweak it to something else that I want to make, that's what I'm doing these days. So I will do a roundup at some point of all the Concord hacks that I do. I say this having done just the one because I know that there are more coming. I've got more in my plans for sure. So I have also made a couple of sweatpants recently, or jogging bottoms, whatever you want to call them. I have got the Tilly and the Buttons Stella Joggers, and I have got the True Bias Hudson Pants. I've made both pairs up in Cozy Colors fabric that I got from Guthrie and Ghani. The Hudson Pants are in this really beautiful burgundy color, sort of different flecks of color called Cozy Colors, fleece back cotton sweatshirting, and then the Stella Joggers are in same fabric but different colorway. So this is like a pink, a really bright pink they call Carnation. Again, you got those flecks of colors, and they've got that lovely fleece back on the inside. I have done a whole clash of the patterns between these two pairs of sweatpants, so I'm not going to get into the whole details now. I will pop a link to that series if you want to check that out and find out a little bit more about these two patterns. But two great wearable garments to have in my life. And I do already have a toaster sweater, the Toaster Sweater 2, that matches the burgundy Hudson Pants. So I'm totally going to be wearing those together and have a little loungewear set. And I couldn't not have a loungewear set to go with my new Stella Joggers. So I made myself another Mile End Sweatshirt. So this is a closet core pattern Mile End Sweatshirt that I've made before. I love this pattern. I did lengthen both of those, make them high rise, 2 inches added to the rise of both of those sweatpants. And I added 2 inches to the length of this Mile End sweatshirt as well, just because I feel like I wanted that little bit of extra coverage to feel extra cozy in them. I love the Mile End sweatshirt. It is so much fun to put together, so satisfying to put together. The main details I think that make it so interesting is you have this really cool diagonal seam going along from the side seam round to the front. And I really made a point, I did the extra basting stitch to make sure that these lines lined up when it goes to the cuffing at the bottom, and I think I did a very good job there. So hopefully you can see. Difficult to get it on camera, but I feel like that worked really well. I also decided to go ahead and do a lot of the top stitching that I didn't bother with last time. So there's top stitching details at this back yoke, another really nice detail. There's also some darts on the sleeves, and again, I did my top stitching on the darts. I went to town trying to get this as neat as I could do. I did a really nice twin needle neckline there as well, I have to say. I was really impressed with how the twin needle was working on this one. Sometimes they want to play and sometimes they just don't. But I feel like this is the yummiest, scrummiest loungewear set. I made these two together previously, but this time around, I just tweaked them to get that fit a little bit more how I liked it. And it was so fantastic. As far as the sizing for the Mile End Sweatshirt, it is very oversized and boxy, and that is the point. I ended up making a size 8, whereas if you looked at my measurements, I would be more like a size 12 in my bust or even a 14 in my hip. So if you like the fit and the shape on me, bear that in mind when you are making your own if you're going to be making this sweatshirt, which I do highly recommend. I really do love the Mile End Sweatshirt. The last thing to tell you about is a knitting project that I'm working on, and this came as a recommendation from Amelia, who is So Amelia here on YouTube and over on Instagram. Thank you, Amelia. You're awesome. You give me the best recommendations. If you want to give me any more recommendations for knitting or sewing, I'm very happy to hear them. She's got great instincts for the kind of things that I would like. But the cardigan that I'm making, or the project that I'm making, is called the Timely Cardigan by Truly Myrtle. And it is a striped cardigan where you have one main color that goes through, and then you're supposed to have another color that alternates every other stripe. Well, it's basically you knit, you purl, you change color. And I did look at the hashtag on this, and there was somebody else who used advent calendar yarns, and a little mini skein managed to get them 2 rows of the opposite color, the alternate color. And I felt like that was a good way to use mine. So the main yarn that I'm using that's going to go throughout is this Bo Peep yarn, Luxury Baby. So it's supposed to be for very sensitive skin, because I do find that I react. I get a bit itchy and a bit red with most yarns, whether it's synthetic or it's natural wool. And I wanted something for sensitive skin, and if it's meant for a baby, I feel like I could probably handle it. So this is 52% Falkland wool and 48% nylon, and it's definitely really nice and soft and squishy, DK weight as well. Can't remember if I mentioned the yarn that I got from my advent calendar is 100% merino wool. And it's difficult to show you my project because it is on the knitting needles right now, but I'm sure I can give you enough of an idea. So it's top down cardigan, so you can see I've got 2 rows of a color before I change. A lot of my yarns were actually multicolor going through, so you get to see a bit of a variation as you go around it. I'm just trying to pull this out so that you can get an idea. It's a raglan sleeve, so this is one of the sleeves. But I think this is working out so beautifully. I cannot wait to have this made up to get to wear it. Super awkward to show you guys, but I'm sure you can get a feel for what these colors are looking like. So this has been such a fun project, and I've still got plenty to go, but so far so good. I'm really loving it, and I think it's going to be pretty amazing. See if I can kind of do some drape. This is probably a bad idea. I don't want to pull it off my needles, but you know, you get some idea, right? Like that's going to be a cardigan, and it's going to be super cute. So I'm excited to be working on that one, and I've got quite a few things planned for the month of March. I've got a lot of videos coming up. I'm going to be one of the vloggers participating in the So Frugal 2022 challenge. So you'll be seeing a video from me coming later this month as well. If you are not already subscribed to my channel, please do hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of the things that I make, things that I'm planning to make. Few little things coming forward in general, but I would love if you can give me a thumbs up down below if you enjoyed the video. Give me a comment. What was my favorite thing that you made this month? Have you been intrigued by any of the patterns? Is there anything that you've made that you've been curious about? Any questions about the projects, please do let me know. I'm happy to elaborate as much as you guys want to. And I will see you all very, very soon. Bye!